So we're going to go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Aloni, and I'm with Schneps Media. Schneps Media is the largest media company in the Metro New York area. We publish over 70 newspapers, magazines, websites, webinars, podcasts, and events throughout Queens, Brooklyn, the Bronx, Manhattan, Westchester, Long Island, and Philadelphia. Today, we're thrilled to be able to bring you the webinar Broadview Senior Living at Purchase College, Virtual Learning Commons, Adult Education in the Time of COVID. Thank you for joining us. You know, studies have shown that lifelong learning not only leads to greater happiness in one's senior years, but also leads to longer life independently and even a longer life in general. An opportunity for generations to connect and learn from one another right on a college campus is tremendously powerful for both seniors and young adults alike. Today, we're going to learn about lifelong learning options and how Broadview Senior Living is creating a one-of-a-kind living environment that melds lifelong learning, a beautiful environment, Purchase is gorgeous, and a community of like-minded individuals to provide connection, support, and great joy. So I am thrilled to bring you three professionals that are going to share current opportunities and opportunities being born to nurture the quest for lifelong learning. First, I'd like to introduce Ashley Wade. Ashley is the marketing director of Broadview Senior Living. And Ashley has worked in senior living for more than 17 years with communities throughout the Midwest. Most recently, she served as the executive director of Sycamore Creek Senior Living Spectrum Retirement Communities in Pickerton, Ohio, responsible for all facets of operations of the community. She was previously associated with Friendship Village Columbus, Kendall at Granville, and Hillhaven Retirement, where she held regional and community marketing director positions, managing the sales and marketing teams and executing advertising and public relations efforts. Ashley holds a Bachelor of Arts, Political Science from Miami University, Oxford, Ohio. She relocated to White Plains, New York from Central Ohio to join the Broadview team. She, her husband, and two children are enjoying exploring Westchester and surrounding counties. Ashley is an official trained provider through the Sage Care program, which is a cultural competency training program organized by Sage. Welcome, Ashley. Next, please join me in welcoming Aviva Taubenfeld. Aviva is the director of the School of Humanities at Purchase College and associate professor of literature. Aviva is the author of Rough Writing, Ethnic Authorship in Theodore Roosevelt's America. She publishes and presents on early 20th century US literature and on pedagogy. Taubenfeld has been teaching at Purchase since 2003, offering courses on US literature, ethnicity, childhood writing, and pedagogy. In 2013, she was honored with the SUNY Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Teaching. Welcome, Aviva. And last but certainly not least, please welcome Kelly Jackson. She's a director of continuing education at Purchase College since 2008. And she is responsible for non-credit professional certificate programs, personal enrichment courses, International Institute for Au Pairs and Adult EAL, online non-credit programs and courses, K through 12 teacher training, and youth and pre-college programs. She is busy. Kelly's prior experience includes Director of Community Arts and Education at Arts Westchester and Director Pensions at the Mutual Life Insurance of New York. Kelly, amazing. She served on the executive board of the Continuing Education of Association for 5 years and chaired the annual conference in 2019 in White Plains, New York. Welcome, Kelly. So thrilled to welcome these incredible women. And Ashley, I would love for you to get us started and share about lifelong learning for seniors and Broadview Senior Living.
Sure. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, and great to be here today, and welcome to all the participants. We're going to spend a little bit of time today talking about Broadview at Purchase College, and specifically about the lifelong learning opportunities that will be available to residents and charter members through Broadview. And that's what I'm going to speak about today. My fellow panelists, Kelly and Aviva, are also going to be speaking about opportunities that are available for lifelong learning in the general population as well. So it's really going to be a great program, I think, for folks that would like to stay engaged at every chapter. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Having a little it's not, there we go. Sorry about that. I'm going to ask Elizabeth to tell me that you're seeing my screen. Yes?
There we go. Perfect. Beautiful.
Okay, very good. Very good. So I have just a very few screens to share today, just to kind of set the stage for what Broadview is, what we will be, and the kind of lifelong learning opportunities that are happening right now and that will evolve and continue to happen once the community is built. And I say once the community is built because what you're looking at right now on the screen is an actual architectural rendering of a community that's not yet built. We are what you call a greenfield community. So right now, if we were to go to the site on the college campus of Purchase College, on the campus of Purchase College, you would just see a sign that says Future Home Of. You would not see these buildings yet, but we anticipate breaking ground later this summer of 2021. So we're very, very excited. And the community will be a full continuing care retirement community with independent living, assisted living, and memory care, with a heavy emphasis on our partnership, obviously by our location, with intergenerational and lifelong learning. The community itself, oh boy, I'm not sure why I'm having some difficulties today. There we go. I have to use a slightly different way to advance my slides.
It's a new world. We all have to be patient with ourselves.
Well, I hate to admit this, but in our sales office, we've had a little trouble with our internet over the past couple days. And I think that might be, I think it's just a little slow. So bear with me and thanks for your patience. This slide just represents not just a picture of the Neuberger Museum, which is one of the opportunities residents of Purchase or of Broadview, as well as visitors to the campus of Purchase College can enjoy, but it also represents a snapshot of exactly who our charter members are, because these are pictures of actual charter members, people that have already determined that even though they won't be moving in for about 20 months, they would like to include Broadview in their retirement future. And so when we put together these renderings and these slides, we used not actors or models, but our actual charter members. And as I said, the Neuberger Museum, just one of the many, many opportunities on the Purchase College campus that will be open to Broadview residents. You know, what is Broadview? Just quickly, it is a university-based retirement community. If you're not familiar with UVRCs, it's that wonderful synergy and melding between two separate ideas, a thriving college campus and a retirement community, and really bringing together the best of both. Broadview will be built right on the campus of Purchase College. It'll be a 40 acres within the 500 acres that the university calls home. There will be 220 independent residences that are a combination of standalone villas that are about 2,000 square feet and apartment homes, which we have 10 different floor plans ranging from very modest to quite luxurious. There will be 32 assisted living and enhanced assisted living suites and 36 memory care. I would like to point out that Broadview will be one of the only Sage Care certified communities in the tri-state area. And Sage Care is a specific competency training for all staff of the Broadview community in LGBTQ issues and awareness. One thing that sets Broadview apart will be the creation of an actual physical space called the Learning Commons. The Learning Commons will be a 60,000 square foot building. You're seeing a picture of it right here, but it's an actual space that's dedicated to the co-curricular intergenerational experiences for students of the campus and residents of Broadview. It will have everything from learning spaces, intergenerational spaces like you see in this slide here that will just be kind of, very open spaces where people can just gather organically to read the newspaper and share a cup of coffee. It will also include things like maker spaces, classrooms, performance spaces, exhibit spaces, a movement studio, computer labs. It's really going to be a wonderful, wonderful physical backdrop and environment where students from Purchase College and residents from Broadview can commingle and share engaging opportunities together. So that's once we're built, that's where the action will actually happen as well as on the campus of Purchase College. And Aviva and Kelly will speak about that in greater detail. But what's happening right now for our charter members, for people that have said, yes, we'd like this to be part of our future, but we want to start building community before the community is even built. And we are engaged right now in what we call the Virtual Learning Commons. The Virtual Learning Commons is that all that will happen, or at least a taste of what will happen once the community is up and running and the residents of Broadview have actually moved in and created these apartments and villas as their homes. Well, we're experiencing a taste of that now virtually through a virtual book club that's facilitated by Purchase College faculty, through lecture series, through exhibits, performances, different things that the charter members are able to engage with virtually through Zoom and GoToMeeting and other virtual platforms. And when I say that it's a comprehensive opportunity for folks, I mean it. I send out an update every Monday, and this Monday, yesterday, there were 9 things for people to engage with just this week. Between things that Broadview itself is offering, things that we're partnering with Purchase College to offer, things that are open to the wider world, and things that are geared just for charter members. But it's so many things and overlapping times that people actually begin to have to make choices about, I always say you can't do it all, or you might, be exhausted by the end of the week. So lots and lots of opportunities to really begin our relationship with Purchase College to see what the future of that lifelong learning and engagement will be once the doors of the community are open. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Aviva, and she's going to talk a little bit more about the specifics of some of those engagement opportunities.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ashley. Just checking, you can hear me, right?
You sound perfect.
Okay, excellent. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning to talk about lifelong learning opportunities at Purchase College and at Broadview. But actually, before I talk about that, I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself and my connection to this enterprise. So as Elizabeth said, I'm a literature professor at Purchase. I direct the School of Humanities, and I've been at the college for 17 years, basically from the moment I finished my PhD. But I'm also a first-generation college student. My father's education was interrupted by World War II, and he never had a formal education past the 3rd grade. My mom grew up in Forty Fort, Pennsylvania, and was a top student at Forty Fort High School, but she never got to go to college because her parents were saving their money for the son, right? The son goes to college, not the daughter. But I've never known 2 people who are more dedicated to education than my parents. My dad read constantly. He was a true autodidact. And my mom always took classes at the local community college. And when I was in college, she decided that she was going to try and complete her degree, which she then did, and also managed to finish a master's in social work and started working in the field when she was almost 70. So I'm sure you know people like this. And maybe you are people like this. I've been thinking a lot about this in recent years because it has struck me that my parents' commitment to their own learning impacted not only their lives, but my life and the life of my siblings. The entire time that we were growing up, we witnessed our parents reading, writing, studying, in my mom's case, taking exams, studying, writing papers. And our parents didn't need to tell us how important education was. They lived it. And while it was sometimes annoying to have to make dinner while mom was studying for an exam, it was also incredibly inspiring. And I'm sure that's why I ended up becoming a professor. I just couldn't imagine anything better than to be always involved in that aspect of life. So I find that my path in life was inspired and shaped by my parents' pursuit of learning. And I think that's why I've always been so incredibly appreciative of the presence of senior auditors and senior community members in our undergraduate classes and programs at Purchase. Because just by being there, by being on campus, in classes, in libraries, in lectures, and eventually in Broadview, the senior population models the value of education and inspires students in a just incredible way. It reminds students why it matters and why it matters in college and beyond. So I'm incredibly grateful to our senior community and to our Broadview charter members. So now let me show you some of the opportunities that currently exist at Purchase College. Can you see this?
Looks perfect.
Okay, great. Looks perfect, but I can't advance it. Oh, okay. So one thing that I think I mentioned in passing is senior auditors. In New York State, residents can audit up to 2 undergraduate classes a semester for a very small fee. This is a SUNY program, and between 150 and 200 community members and Broadview charter members do this every semester. They attend Purchase classes that are geared for undergraduates, that undergraduates are taking for credit, that they audit, and faculty and students love this intergenerational experience in the classroom. Here's another image of that. We also have lectures that are geared specifically for our senior learners. This is a photo of the Burt Sachs Memorial Lecture and Lunch from 2018. And what you don't see, you see the people attending and you see the food on the table, but what you don't see is the professor. It was journalism professor Simon Surowitz, who gave a talk called Reflections from an Enemy of the People being a term that was used by the former president about journalists. This was an extremely well-attended lecture, and it was a great opportunity for people to hear from a faculty member, but also to get a chance to socialize with other folks who are interested in learning. This year we had the Burt Sachs Memorial Lecture, but without the lunch. It was on Zoom, and Professor Lee Schlesinger, who's a longtime literature professor who's been at the college almost from its inception, gave a talk called The Lost America of Love. And one of the wonderful things about Lee is that not only is he a literature professor, but he intends to never leave Purchase. He's also a Broadview charter member, and he's very interested in connecting Broadview folks with the campus, something that he's uniquely positioned to do. When we're not on Zoom, we have also brown bag lunches, and here's one with Professor Ren Yu, Professor of History and Asian Studies, in one of the classrooms in the School of Humanities, and he spoke about China, changing China, some observations, also really well attended by seniors from the community. We hope to go back to the in-person lecture, but we also have learned so much in the past months about Zoom and the way that it can make things accessible to people who can't be at an in-person lecture. So we hope to do things combined in the future. With the building of Broadview, as Ashley mentioned, we're looking forward to holding more and more classes and events in the Learning Commons that will be intergenerational or specifically for Broadview members. But we've decided to start these virtually. And actually it was individuals who had attended a summer workshop. The faculty gave a talk every week, a different faculty member gave a talk to our senior community members. And at the end of it, some Broadview charter members approached Ashley and said, how about if faculty do a book club? And this was begun in September. And just this past month, Professor Elise Lemire led the book club. And you can see some of the attendees here. We get about 25 people each time. And actually at the start of each session, we ask people who are joining for the first time to introduce themselves. And it was really striking last time to hear people say that the reason that they joined Broadview was for these kinds of opportunities, these kinds of learning opportunities, but also to be among like-minded people who are also always reading and interested in furthering their education throughout their lives. This is the next session of the Broadview Book Club, which will be hosted by Professor Usha Rangu. And this is specifically for Broadview members, but as also mentioned previously, we have many events that are open to the wider community. There are two this week. I only included a photo of one. Some of you may be familiar with Fred Moten. He's a professor at NYU. He's the MacArthur Genius, a philosopher and poet, and he'll be speaking on Thursday. So if you'd like to get your feet wet, I'll be sure that you get that information and you can join us. We'd love to see you at any point. And as Ashley mentioned also, we're in the process of coming up with new programs and thinking about how this will work to bring together our undergraduates with our Broadview population. So we hope that you'll join us and be part of that dream. And with that, let me pass it to Kelly.
Thank you, Aviva. Kelly would love to hear what you have to share with all of us.
Hi, everybody. And Aviva, I have to say, you are so inspiring, your story, and it just makes me think about my journey to education as well, being the daughter of educators. My mom was a kindergarten and fourth grade teacher, and my father, a professor at the University of Michigan, one of the first African-American professors there. And growing up in Ann Arbor and in that kind of educational environment really propels me today, and I think, speaks to my passion for education and especially continuing education. But thanks for sharing. My colleagues at Purchase are amazing.
Kelly and Aviva, it also speaks to the power of combining senior learning and young people, and how that, there's that benefit for both. Aviva shared about how it inspired her mom to go and get a degree and create a new career in those years of her life, and about, how much passion they could each bring to one another. So I thought that was really a beautiful thing in what you shared, Kelly and Aviva.
Very good. All right. So now I'm going to get on to my techie things. I'm sure something will happen, but fingers crossed.
Always exciting. Always exciting.
All right. All right. Does everybody see that?
Yep, that looks great.
Okay, terrific. All right. So I'm gonna, good morning, everybody, by the way, and thank you so much for being here today and giving me an opportunity to talk a little bit about continuing education at Purchase and our future relationship with Broadview. As you can see on the slide, we're located in the ground floor of the music building for that time in which we're all together again post-pandemic. We're easily accessible from the parking lot, and we'll invite you all to come and join us in person. I know if you're anything like me, I'm so looking forward to those days. I'm going to quickly begin with an overview of the School of Continuing Education and start by saying that Purchase College has long embraced lifelong learning since its creation, offering multi-generational education to the surrounding community, really since the 60s. We offer professional certificate programs, personal enrichment courses, youth and pre-college programs in the arts, an international institute, K-12 training, and of course, we are so excited about the logical extension of including Broadview Senior Living to our campus community. Professional certificate courses are an ideal way that people can pursue an interest. We offer a number of professional certificate programs, and I've highlighted today our appraisal studies, which we partner with the American Society of Appraisers to offer. We actually appeal to people all over the country who come in for a 2-week or a 16-day period to begin their journey to getting appraised in art appraisal, coin appraisal. We even had people to appraise cars, but this is the first step in property appraisal. We have a home staging certificate for those who want to start a business, an interior design certificate, and a variety of online providers that we partner with in order to have asynchronous learning. So we really want to kind of meet our students where they are to give them what they need. We also offer a variety of personal enrichment courses that take advantage of Purchase College strengths and facilities. I saw that Ashley had one of her pictures up of a Broadview person in one of our art and design facilities, which really is amazing. And we're looking forward to taking advantage of those spaces, continuing to do that. And it really is quite extensive and unique in the Westchester area. Currently, we offer wood turning, woodworking, bronze casting, painting, drawing, voiceover acting. And actually, I have a picture up here of Rafael Ferrer, who is a very accomplished voiceover acting. He's teaching our voiceover. He's done the Olympics, he's done Star Wars movies, and is so energized and willing to share his gifts in our courses. And that's just an example. By the way, he is the daughter of Rosemary Clooney and Jose Ferrer, which is pretty amazing. It's my second degree separation to George Clooney. But we have acting workshops, digital photography, and so much more. We have the resources to really be able to offer a wide variety of things. We have an international institute, which includes a summer intensive English language program and explorations in American life and language. Our summer intensive English program is a 6-week non-credit program for conditionally accepted international students to help them with their reading, writing, and listening skills so they can successfully matriculate at Purchase. And then we also offer a wide range of courses to au pairs. They're usually subject courses, not really ESL or English as an additional language, but they're often interested in things like marketing or a lot of marketing business things. So many of them have already gotten their undergraduate degrees and are interested in learning more, and they actually will take those to fulfill their J1 visa requirements. And then we have a super robust offering for youth and pre-college programs, intensive enrichment over the summer, which is an opportunity to ignite their passions and acting, interior design, architecture, creative writing, STEAM programs, filmmaking, songwriting, voice, performing arts, and with experienced educators and accomplished artists. The beauty is normally when we're in person, they get to use our extensive facilities and have access to wonderful educators. And we also, Purchase is a New York State Education Department approved continuing teacher and leader education provider. And right now we're partnered with Powista, which is the Putnam Westchester Industry and Science Teacher Alliance, to offer courses during the academic year and in the summer. But certainly last but not least, we are very excited to have our newest members and to anticipate welcoming Broadview Senior Learning members to the campus and now virtually. We feel that the potential of continuing education and Broadview partnership is only limited to your imagination and interests. We anticipate that Broadview members are going to be experts in their field, and we hope to invite opportunities for teaching, to offer different types of courses, to have intergenerational opportunities, things at the Learning Commons, volunteer opportunities, mentorship, tutoring, food pantry, all kinds of things. And, we haven't talked a lot about the Newberger and the Performing Arts Center, but there certainly will be, right now, there are virtual performances, exhibitions. There will be in person again once we get beyond the pandemic, but there's so many opportunities on campus to be involved, to be engaged, to keep learning. And Purchase College is just so committed to that very concept. There is a quote that I love and I return to about intergenerational learning, describing the way that people of all ages can learn together and from each other. Intergenerational learning is an important part of lifelong learning, where generations work together to gain skills, values, and knowledge. And beyond the transfer of knowledge, it fosters reciprocal learning relationships between different generations and helps to develop social capital and social cohesion in our aging societies. And we are committed to that and excited about all of the opportunities that Purchase will have. And so that's it for me.
Thank you so much, Kelly. That really is so meaningful. Thank you for sharing that quote as well. And I'm amazed at the amount of opportunities that there are at Purchase College, really from every angle of where you could possibly be interested. I'd like to take some time now to answer some questions that we've gotten from our attendees. And please, I can encourage our attendees, if you have additional questions, go ahead and put them in the chat in the Q&A. But I think, one of the first, there is so much information, what parts, and maybe Ashley's the best one, but y'all can jump in and who's the best person to answer, but what parts of the virtual learning commons can people access now and can do so, and those that they can join once they're a part of the community? Can you clarify that?
Sure. So as you know, Kelly and Aviva just so beautifully outlined, there is literally so much, if you think of it almost like a buffet of educational opportunities, that it is a little bit tricky to navigate what's available now, what's available in the future, what's just for Broadview, what's just for the public. And so the first thing I would say is just always inquire, because we are happy. I know Kelly and Aviva and myself always are going to be happy to connect everyone with every resource that's available. But just to kind of try to encapsulate it a little bit. Currently, there are a number of opportunities that if you hopped on the Purchase College website, I think are just generally open to the public, and there are links, available for different things. Like Aviva was mentioning the poet from NYU that's speaking at the Durst lecture series later this week. That's one of the 9 things that was on the list that I sent to the charter members. But that's available to anyone that just hops on that website and finds the link. So there are a number of lectures. Sometimes they're one and done presentations. Sometimes they're a part of a larger series. That's certainly available to everyone and available right now. And right now, those are virtual, obviously, because we're in the pandemic era. They are not, once we get past that, I love the way Kelly said that, when we get past the pandemic era, we will, they'll return to being, I wonder if they might at some point return to something, a newly imagined hybrid of virtual as well as in person, because we've learned how wonderful it is to be able to reach folks in the virtual, platform as well. But so there are a number of those things that are available currently and will be in the future, and that's to everyone. Then there are a number of things that are just specific to charter members that will ultimately be Broadview members. And that's things like the book club, or we have weekly coffees where we invite different experts in a number of different fields to come and be a guest speaker. We have, a film series where there are charter members they're screening a film and then having a discussion group about it. And it, goes on and on. So the best way to really find out what's available to the general public, I think, is to hop on the Purchase College website and start investigating that. And then the best things to find out if you want to be a charter member is to reach out to Broadview, and we would love to talk to you. If this is not something that you want to just engage in, but you actually want to live, then Broadview might be something worth investigating. And the other quick thing that I would just like to say about this is that there are varying costs, sometimes and a lot of times zero. It's free and open to the public at no cost. And then there's always the question that comes up about actual auditing classes and if that's included with Broadview. And I should have mentioned that because that always comes up. So the answer is yes and no. So because the senior auditing program is something that's open to anyone in the state of New York, one of you two can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's 65, it might be 62, but I think it's 65 and older. And it's generally about $50 a class per semester. There are sometimes additional fees if there are supplies and things involved. We're not able to make that included in the Broadview if you're a member of Broadview. You can audit classes, surely, just like any other older adult can in the state of New York. And if you live in even if you're not from the state of New York, but if you move to Broadview, you can be included. But what will be available to Broadview members at no charge that will be like auditing classes will be what Kelly referenced, which are some of those smaller class, maybe call them sprint classes or 6-week classes that are very much like a traditional college class on the Purchase College campus, but will be offered at the Learning Commons. So for that intergenerational piece with students and residents of Broadview, but those will be at no charge. So that will be part of living at Broadview. So I know I've just maybe muddied the waters. I don't know how much I clarified anything, but hopefully shared a few.
So that was helpful, and you actually answered 2 questions in one, because we did have a question about that in terms of costs, and so that was terrific. And obviously, everyone's going to have their own personal questions about, specifics, and please, if we don't address them here, please do reach out to Ashley. She'll be happy to answer those questions. So another good question that we have is someone says, as a Broadview member who currently lives outside of New York, are these opportunities available to us? And I guess that would address the learning.
Yeah. So especially that's one of the benefits of the virtual platform is that, we have Broadview charter members that live all over. I mean, largely folks are largely from the Tri-County area with the predominance of people from Westchester County and Manhattan. But we have charter members as far away as, I think 3 households in California and Arizona and Florida, all over the place. So as long as things are in a virtual environment, yes, you can absolutely engage. It'll be tougher to make it to class if once we go back to in-person learning if you're, in California. But yeah, absolutely.
Terrific. Thank you so much. What about grandchildren? If grandchildren come to visit, can they take a summer youth or a pre-college program on campus? Is that available?
So I would love for Kelly to talk about that.
Sure, and absolutely. We so envision, if Broadview members have their grandchildren here for a few weeks over the summer and they wanted them to participate in any of the programs that we offer, then that absolutely they could do that. How convenient would that be? They could run home for lunch. They could have access to all of that and have plenty of fun for their grandchildren to be involved in. And, in all of our programs, I didn't mention it, in our current continuing education program, we are offering discounts for Broadview members, so they can access them at a different rate than everyone else.
Terrific. And there it speaks to more about what we said, the family sharing education together and igniting conversation and connection. So that's wonderful. We have a question about the reality of, Oh, yeah, please.
I was just gonna interject one thing that, I think I mentioned that I've, worked in this field for a long time, and specifically with university-based retirement communities. And I was really excited to come to this project because of Purchase College evidence adoption and embracing this in a way that I think is really different than's happening in a lot of UBRCs across the country. Really, saying we want to be transformative in the way that we embrace intergenerational learning. And that's a whole nother seminar. But what I did want to say, just because someone brought it up about grandkids, is that, and I'm really going rogue here because I've not talked to Aviva or Kelly about this at all, but I will just tell you that what I know has happened in other communities that I've worked in the Midwest that were affiliated with different colleges and universities, specific to that grandchild, they would even come up with specific summer learning opportunities that were intergenerational, designed for grandparents and grandchildren to take at the same time. And so, and I can't imagine that wouldn't be something with how amazing Purchase College has been in terms of thinking outside the box. I can't imagine that they wouldn't say, well, sure, if there was an audience for that. And so just think how amazing that would be to, tackle some kind of literature together and the different perspectives and what people, or, maybe it's a pottery class, or maybe it's a photography, or, who knows?
That's
okay.
Absolutely. And just to even add to that is that, that's certainly one area and specific programs about that. But for instance, in the youth and pre-college programs, I hire mainly our undergraduates to be our TAs. So they're learning from current college students who then I would think would have a place in those grandparent, grandchild kind of learning situations. So that just adds another layer.
I'm like getting teary-eyed. I don't know. This is so touching. Just thinking about, whether it's your own grandchild or it's other young adults, and like that exchange of experience and youth and senior wisdom. It's just, it's really special. I don't know if we hit on this, but Ashley, what age do people have to be? What age are people at Broadview? What's the youngest you can be to join?
Well, we always say our rookies are 62. So our kind of basement age is 62. But, and this community, at like many university-based retirement communities, is really kind of does draw a younger crowd. The average age to move to a retirement community across the country is 80, but we are at 75. Right now is our average age of our charter members. But we have people that are not yet 62 that they will be 62 by the time they move in. So we've got some folks on the very, very young side. And I love the fact that we have 2 couples that are both in their 90s. So 4 people that are in their 90s. And one of the couples are both still working. He is a practicing architect and she is a still seeing patient psychologist. So that's amazing. Think of you talk about getting teary or goosebumps. That's why I do what I do, because I love working with older adults and helping them facilitate that opportunity to define this chapter of their life exactly how they would like it. And this kind of opportunity as a university-based retirement community does just that. It speaks to people that say, I'm going to live until I don't. I'm going to learn until I can't. And I'm all in. So
I love that. I don't know if you had mentioned this, but there was this phenomenal gentleman who's been a professor at Purchase that you showed a picture of, that's been there since the beginning, will be there forever as a Broadview member. Are there opportunities for people with experience to teach at Purchase College?
We'll let Kelly or to that.
You want to answer that?
Or Aviva?
You want me to take it? I think that there's certainly opportunities to teach in the continuing ed program and to teach within Broadview and also to give lectures. So I've been part of the book club since September, and I've met so many interesting people who have a really interesting base of knowledge. They're academic doctors who could give great talks to our students. people who have written biographies. Somebody wrote the biography of Rachel Carson, right? And that would be wonderful to have her talk. So we hope to have a lecture series where Broadview folks will lecture to the community. In terms of 4-credit classes, I mean, that would require the same kind of vetting process when we hire any adjuncts, right? But in terms of the non-credit classes, I think there'll be possibly more flexibility. Kelly, can you confirm that? Am I right?
You are absolutely right, confirmed. I think the lecture series, is a terrific outlet for that and would be greatly appreciated by our Purchase College community. And certainly I am always open to receiving course proposals and talking to people about possible courses that would be available to the community, to just the Broadview community. There's so many ways in which those opportunities could manifest themselves. So.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So we do have a question about COVID, and that, this person was saying that, will there be any difference in design of the public areas now that COVID is a reality that perhaps isn't going away so soon? And will all of the New York State government mandates apply to this facility? Will there be medical facility within the community, and will there be, COVID testing, things of that nature? Perhaps Ashley, that's a good question for you.
Yeah, so I can only speak to about Broadview, and Kelly and Aviva may know more about the physical spaces on the Purchase College campus. But Broadview surely will meet all the regulatory standards for to get our certificate of occupancy that are required for any new construction. And yeah, absolutely, being pre-final construction documents when for the first time in a century there's a global pandemic, it definitely altered our approach to things. So we always said it's never a good time for a pandemic. Wish it hadn't happened. But in terms of Broadview's evolution, we were kind of in the best possible position because we had already launched in terms of people or interest in being able to have the formation of the idea and, all the blessing from the state of New York to move forward. But we hadn't, we had not finalized construction documents. So we actually did make changes to the actual construction of the community. So it will be very cutting edge for retirement community in the country in terms of, because we will have different ventilation systems. We will have different abilities for, ability to quarantine people and those kinds of thought processes that might have just not been as central prior to a pandemic. The other question that was asked was, relative to, even before the pandemic, the community would have had the full continuum of care. So we would have a health center. We'll have the community, it will be predominantly 220 independent residences. But this community is designed as a retirement community for people to be able to make the choice at this chapter of their lives to move and to not have to leave the community regardless of how their healthcare needs may change over the course of their life. So this community always had in its plans a health center that will be inclusive of assisted living for maybe when people just have, some frailty and some additional health needs, but that aren't necessarily medically acute. And then it will have enhanced assisted living. And if you think of that, that's a new qualification or classification and licensure process in the state of New York that really kind of mimics skilled nursing. It does have some nuanced differences between things that can happen in enhanced assisted living and skilled nursing. But the expectation is that the community will be a place where people can move and then live throughout the rest of their lives, inclusive of hospice care. So I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, that was terrific. Thank you. So, I think one of the final question that I have is, what would be the next steps for someone who is interested in learning more about Broadview? If you could share that with us, that would be really helpful.
Sure. So first and foremost, I hope that you'll consider hopping on the Purchase College website, which is a wonderful website and so full of information and opportunity, to check out all the really engaging lectures, concerts, programs, activities that go on all the time. But it's specific to Broadview, I would ask you to go to broadviewseniorliving.org, and you can right there you can fill out it's called a website request form. Populate it with your name and your email or your phone number or both, or however you would like us to contact you, and we will reach out to you and talk about how this might fit into your retirement future.
Terrific. And I did just share that on the chat, and we'll also share both the Purchase website to make it easy for everybody, as well as the Broadview website for people just to click on that and learn more about both places of extraordinary opportunities. Thank you so much, Ashley, Aviva, Kelly. It is .org, excuse me. It is .org, right? Broadviewseniorliving.org or .com? Sorry, someone just asked.
.org, yeah, no, .org.
Yeah,
you're correct, you've got it.
Whoever just asked, that was
we're not for profit.
It is, okay, perfect, good to know. So it is .org, but let me get back to thanking you. Thank you so much, Kelly, Aviva, Ashley, for letting us know about all these incredible lifelong learning opportunities and for incredible senior living that includes that, which is such an important part of continuing a beautiful life. And I want to thank all of our attendees for joining us and spending time with us. Again, we'll send you an email with contact information about Purchase College, about Broadview. This has been recorded. We'll also send you the link to that so you can watch again and you can share it with family and friends. Please do. And appreciate your spending some time with us this morning, and hope that you will join us on one of our future webinars. Thank you so much, ladies. Appreciate your expertise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful day, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.